I'm stoked to get into all these hands with you. This is the first time I've played a satellite in a long time, but yeah, made a pretty good run. So let's check out these hands. Um, First significant hand of the tournament, the big blind decides to put some pressure on me. Raise, I call. Um, Flop comes favorable and a 7 high. I'm holding a 7. I decide to lead on the turn after it goes check, check. Button raises here. I don't think he's got a queen, and I don't think he's got a flush. I decide to just call. River comes the ace of hearts. I check it over to him, and yeah, Button takes his time, thinks about it for a bit, decides to check it back, and we take it down with the 7 high flush. He ended up rivering a pair, so it might have helped me out a little bit. Second hand here, we have King Queen. We're in the big blind. I'm sitting on about 20 big blinds. There's an open raise followed by a shove. I just decided to go with it. I love King Queen. Who doesn't? And I flop a king. It holds, and I got a nice little double up there. So good start. Very next hand, we pick up King Jack. A little bit of a downgrade, but hey, I'm in the small blind. Blinds are the same. We're in level 9 now. Ranked 21 of 140. I decided to raise it up, and the big blind takes his time, thinks about it. I'm kind of hoping he doesn't jam, but I'm probably going to call it off if he does. He calls. I flop a king. So aggressive time. We're going to bet small into the pot, and he jams, and I snap it off. He's got 9 deuce, drawing dead on the turn. So easy pickup of chips right there. I've got King 10 in the big blind following this this run I've got going on here. 4th in chips out of 145. I decided to call an open raise. I've got him dominated in chips. The flop comes ace, ace, jack, 2 diamonds. I've got the king of diamonds. He bets into me. I just call. Turn is a 5. He checks it over to me. I decide to throw out a little bet here relative to the size of the pot, and he folds. So easy peasy, picking up some nice chips where I need them. We've got 10 jack. I decide to open here, get a few folds, and the big blind decides to call. Flop comes 7, 8, 9. Doesn't get much better than that. I'm truly on a heater at this point. I bet, he calls. Turn is a jack of hearts. Definitely going to kill my action a bit, but I'm not going to slow down. I bet, he calls again. River is the 6 of clubs. He checks it over to me. I throw out a small bet again. Didn't really know what was going to go on here. I was going to call anything. I didn't expect him to have hearts. He raises. I snap it off. And we end up chopping. He ended up getting there on the turn as well. So next hand here, blinds are increasing. We're in level 12. I'm 18th of 151. Folds me on the button, and I decide to limp with 40 big blinds. Probably should have put some pressure on here, but big blind checks. Flop comes queen, 2, jack. Big blind takes a little bit of time. Decides to check. I decide to check it back. The turn is the king of diamonds. Got top pair, decent kicker. I check it. He checks it back. The river is an ace. He checks it to me, and I decide to check it back. And we win against a pair of jacks. So nice to pick up some chips. We are in level 12. Blinds are 400, 800. I've got about 43 big blinds. There's an open limp. I decide to limp with pocket 6s. Button limps. Small blind limps, and the big blind decides to check his option. Flop comes king, 10, 6. We flop a set. Looking pretty good. There's 5 people in the hand. Not really sure how to get the most value out of this. I decided to go half pot for 3 big blinds. Button folds. Small blind takes his time. Thinks about it for a minute. He folds. Big blind folds. And last player folds. So maybe I missed out on some value. There was a flush out there, so I didn't want to get put in an awkward spot if another spade came. Next hand here, we have an open raise to 3 big blinds. I call. I've got 36 big blinds behind. In level 13 now, ranked 10 out of 151. Small blind folds, and the big blind folds. Flop comes ace, jack, deuce with 2 spades. Beautiful flop for my hand. I check it, trying to get a little trappy. I've kind of got it locked up. Turn, right away, hit the flush. Checks it to me. I check this one back. And the river is the 7 of hearts. Doesn't change anything. He just jams for 6 big blinds. I snap it off, and I win against his 2 pair. So I think slow playing that kind of helped me out a little bit. Very next hand, level 13. I'm sitting on about 50 big blinds. I pick up ace king. Very nice hand to have in this spot. I decided to bump it up to 3,000. 3 big blinds. I'm 7th out of 145 in chips. Button folds, and it ends up being heads up between me and the small blind. Flop doesn't come very nice for me. He bets. I decide to just get out of there. No shame in folding top tier hand when you completely miss on the flop. Next hand here, I've got queen 9 of hearts in the big blind. I've got about 46 big blinds left. There's an open raise to 2 big blinds. I decide to make the call. Flop comes 9, 6, 5. I've got top pair and a decent kicker. Open raiser leads into me for a weird amount. I decided to just call. Turn is a 10. I check it over to him once again. He decides to throw out 4 big blinds. Nothing I'm going to do here other than call. And lo and behold, we had a queen on the river to give us 2 pair. I decide to lead for a small amount, and he snaps it off. I probably could have got some more value out of that, but bouncing up and down, levels are changing. We're in level 14. I pick up ace 8 on the button. There's an open raise to 2 big blinds. Folds to me. I decide to just make the call, and the big blind calls as well. We're 3 ways to a flop. Flop comes 6, queen 9. Nothing on it for me. I decide to get a little tricky here and throw out 2.5 big blinds. Trying to put some pressure on the smaller stacks. Big blind calls. Turn gives me a open-ended straight draw. Big blind checks it over to me. I decide to throw out 4.5 big blinds. He's sitting on 25. He makes the call. And what a beautiful, beautiful river. Get the 5 of spades on the river, giving us a straight. The big blind takes his time, decides to check. I decide to go for some value here. And bet 6.5 big blinds. Big blind folds right away, and we pick up a nice stack of chips right there. Next hand, we're in level 15. I've got about 43 big blinds. I'm in the small blind. I have king, queen offsuit. Folds around to me in the small blind. I decide to bump it up to 2.5 big blinds, and the big blind folds. So steal some chips there. Folds to me, middle position with ace-7 offsuit. I decide to bump it up. I raise the 2 big blinds, folds around to the big blind. He calls, and the flop comes 5 deuce 10, 2 clubs. I'm not holding the club. The big blind shoves for 2 big blinds, and maybe this was too loose of me. I decided to just call, thinking I was probably behind, but I could probably hit an ace and scoop it, but that is not the case. I miss, and the big blind doubles up through me, so no big deal. On to the next hand. We've got ace-4 in the small blind. There's an open limp. I check my option, sitting in the big blind. The flop is 4, 5, 10 with 2 hearts. Not holding a heart, but I've got a gut shot. The turn brings a deuce. Not much help for me, but I decide to bet, and everyone folds. So I pick up some more chips here, applying pressure on these smaller stacks. Next hand, we've got ace-2, early position. I decide to bump it up to 2 big blinds. It folds around to a player in late position, and they shove. I've got them covered. Small blind folds, big blind folds. It's on me. Thinking about my spot here. This is probably an easy fold, but I've already put so many chips in. I was kind of bummed about this one. Didn't really know what to do here. I just decided to let it go. Wait for a better spot. So give that player some chips, and we're on to the next hand. Next hand, I'm first to act. Blinds are 4,000 and 2,000. We're in level 19. I decide to bump it up with ace-10. Offsuit folds around to the big blind, and they decide to call. The flop is 7, king, queen. No immediate help to my hand. The big blind checks it to me. I decide to bet, little over big blind, and the big blind player decides to come along for a call. So looking for a jack. The turn is an 8. No help to me still. Big blind checks it to me. I decide to keep my foot on the gas, keep throwing some chips in the middle, make a small bet, and the big blind folds. So I pick up some chips there. Very nice outcome. Next hand here, we're in the small blind. We've got king, queen. You know I like this hand. I just ship it all in. Big blind surprisingly calls. He's got queen, ace. I hit a king and do not improve. Double up the big blind here. That was a weird spot, but this is kind of where I started bleeding chips. Not the best move on my part. Also kind of a little unlucky, but what are you going to do? Next hand, I'm sitting here in the big blind. I've got 10s. There are some stacks that cover me, so I am a little cautious of that. We're getting close to the money. 30 places get a ticket. I really want to get that ticket. Middle position decides to raise it up to 3 big blinds. Kind of an awkward spot, right? I don't want to tango with the middle position, but I've got a really strong hand. Maybe I should have just jammed here. I don't know what the right play was. Maybe you could tell me in the comments. I decided to just limp. Flop comes king high. Not the best spot for me. My plan is to just check fold. This guy's got me covered by a lot. He bets. I didn't like the flop at all. Maybe he didn't connect with the king. Maybe he did, but either way, I felt like I was behind or in a spot that I didn't want to be risking my stack for my tournament life. So I fold, and we go on to the next. Not the prettiest hand, but I'm going to make Daniel Negreanu proud, and I'm going to ship it in. Have a short stack. Small blind folds. Big blind thinks about it for some time and decides to let it go. So you're welcome, Daniel. Let's keep this run going. We go on a break. We come back. I am short. I've just been bleeding chips. First hand back from break. I get ace jack. I only have 3 big blinds. You know exactly what's going to happen here. 24,000 in chips. I'm covered by pretty much everybody at the table. I put it in the middle. Small blind decides to get out of there. Big blind takes some time, and ends up making the call with a speculative hand, I'd say. Wasn't excited to be flipping here. He hits a king, but right away we get an ace. So saved by the ace from space, whatever you want to call it, saved my tournament life. We've got 7.6 big blinds now. Went through some card death. We're in level 23 at this point. Not looking good. I've been up, down, just battling for my life. These levels are going quick. We're 31th out of 38th. 30 get tickets. I'm in a weird spot. I've got 3.5 big blinds. I'm ultra short stacked, playing as tight as I possibly can, but looking for a good spot to steal chips or possibly double up. Don't want to do anything too crazy and just, punt off my stack for no reason. Folds over to the button. Button decides to fold. Small blind. Takes his time, thinks about it, and ultimately decides on a call. He just limped in. I decide to check. Sitting with 3.5 big blinds. Flop comes all spades, but with the jack. When the small blind bets, I decided to just put it all in, and the small blind doesn't think too long before folding. So that was a great pickup of chips. Nice momentum for me. I needed it. Back down to under 4 big blinds. These levels are going quick. We're in level 24. I'm 29th in chips out of 35. I've got 4 deuce in the small blind. Say what you want, but I'm going to put some pressure on this tiny little big blind stack of 2.5. I ship my stack in, and the big blind folds. So I steal some chips there, and we're on our way. Level 24, still doing a little bit better now. I have 5.9 big blinds. Not great, not awful. I've got some breathing room. I'm on the button. I pick up ace 8. The game plan is if it folds over to me, I will be putting my chips in the middle. Sure enough, it folds over to me, and I ship it all in. Small blind folds. Big blind thinks about it for a bit, really hoping that he can just let his cards go. I don't want to be flipping here. I just want to take down a big blind. Ultimately, that's what he does. He folds, and I pick up some more blinds. So I'm sitting on 8 big blinds. Level 26, these blinds are just going up like crazy. I'm in the big blind. I've got 2.8 big blinds. And I get dealt king 10. It's probably going to call off here, depending on where the open came from. But I ended up getting a walk, which was nice. First walk of the tournament. We managed to build up a little stack and get some breathing room. That was, this tournament structure is just crazy how the blinds are going. You need to double up. You can't just punt off all your chips. You got to make smart decisions. Next hand comes around. I don't have to do anything crazy though. I've got 4.6 big blinds. I've got pocket 4s in the small blind. Folds over to the button, and he decides to go all in. If this was a normal tournament, I would definitely be putting my chips in the middle, but we're one away from getting the ticket. I decided to just fold, and hopefully someone can bust before I bleed out, basically. And sure enough, we end up cashing. We get a ticket. We finished in 11th place somehow with 5 big blinds. I have no idea how that makes sense, but we ended up getting a ticket to the $110 Chip Crown Series. Yeah, we're stoked.